So, good evening, student. Today we will discuss about the next part, that means industrial sector. In industrial sector, we will see here the in pre-British period, agriculture had dominated the Indian economy because most of the peoples are engaged in agriculture sector. But at the same time, little bit industrial sector also enjoyed in some places, and they also enjoyed some reputation in worldwide, in which cases they take worldwide reputation basically in handicraft industries. Our handicraft industries was renowned at that time in the world. All those various famous urban handicraft, textile handicrafts earned special status and were spread over the whole country. So our textile handicrafts earn some special status. Why they have earned some special status? Because their goods was very precious. Their goods were very precious, and that is why these goods spreads all over the country. Now, although India could not develop in industrial sector due to some British policy. So now we will discuss here why our industrial sector has not developed in British period. The first reason is decline handicraft industry. So we know why our handicraft industry declined in the British period, because basically British have two policies. That means what we know, that is twofold policy. What is twofold policy? The twofold policy is an anti-Indian trade policy. What is anti-Indian trade policy? The anti-Indian trade policy is, the first one is, British will use our country to get the raw materials at a cheap rates. They purchase raw materials from our country at a cheap rates. And the second one is, they will sell their products in our country at a high prices. This is called twofold policy, and this twofold policy is the anti-Indian trade policy, and this is the first reason of declining the handicraft industry in India. Next is adverse effects of decline handicraft industry. What is the adverse effect? The first adverse effect is decline of a handicraft resulted in unemployment on a mass scale. So if the handicraft industry decline, that means they try to destroy our handicraft industries, and that is why they create so many unemployment in our country. Basically the artisans has no alternatives. No alternative means they are not getting jobs, and that's why they are forced to take up agricultural works, and that is why agricultural field is overburdened or overcrowded. Okay, why overcrowded? Because British destroyed the handicraft industry for their own profit motives, and that's why unemployment creates. And these unemployed laborers, where they go to agriculture, and agriculture is overburdened, overcrowded. Okay, and the second reason is the Indian made goods could not withstand the foreign competition of machine made cheap goods. This is also a reason, because we have no good technology, good machines. Okay, and that is why we cannot compete with the foreign goods. This is also a reason. We cannot compete with the foreign goods, because foreign goods made by machines and they have very low price, and we are making our goods by our hands, basically our hands, and that is why we cannot compete with the foreign goods with low price. And that's why it encouraged the import of manufactured goods from Britain, and that is why they imported goods from Britain, because that goods was low priced goods, lack of capital goods industries. So at the British period, we know we have lack of capital goods. That means heavy industries. Capital goods industries refer to those industries which can produce machine tools, which are in turn used for producing articles of current consumption. So capital goods industries are those industries which basically produce machines, tools, etc. Okay, these are the heavy industries. During the British rule, there was hardly any capital goods industry to promote further industrialization in India. So in British period, we di- we did not see any big industry or heavy industry in our country because British have no interest to promote industrialization in India. They have only one motive, to collect the raw materials from our country and sell their goods in our country at a high price. British rules did not pay any attention for promotion of capital goods industries as they always wanted Indians to be dependent on Britain. Why they have no interest to promote industrialization in our country? Because British always wants that peoples our peoples will always depend on British, and that's why they made our country a raw material supply country. Next reason is low contribution to gross domestic product. So as we do not have so many heavy industries, and that's why growth rate of new industrial sector and its contribution to the GDP remained very small. So we do not have very big industries, capital goods industries. We cannot make goods, and that is why our GDP was remain very slow in the period of British. Limited role of public sector. Public sector means basically the government sector. They have only very limited role. The limited area of operation of public sector was also a significant reason to drawback of the industrial sector. So basically, public sector means government sector, and governments have no interest to make any industries or make any industrial sectors. They did never make any plans to create any industrial sectors or any heavy industries in India. The public sector remain confined only to the railways, power generation, communication, ports, and some other departmental undertaking. So where the government sector basically confined of making their own own motives. That means they wants to make railways, they wants to make roads, communications, ports. These sectors, these infrastructural sectors, they promote. Why they promote these infrastructural sectors? So that they can easily sell their goods from one place to other place. So these are the reasons of why our industrial sector decline in British period. Okay, tomorrow we will discuss about the foreign trade. Thank you, and please read industrial sector, agriculture sector, because students, you have come in class 12, so be serious in your study.